Hello, this is Paul Anthony Kelly from themortgagespin.com. I'd like to show you today a rent versus own analysis. And well, let me ask you guys a question first. If you were presented with the opportunity to start over again, would you go back in time and purchase those investment properties that you know you should have purchased, or purchase your first home? This is that time again. I may have said this to you, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it again. This is your going back in time moment, and here is when you guys make the decision to, be bold and buy your house or buy those investment properties. Because 5 years from now, don't say that. You want to be one of the people who say, I did invest, thank God I did. So well, let's look at a rent versus own analysis for the property on Electric Avenue that's a current listing going on right now in the city of Alhambra. So let's go through some, I'm making some assumptions here. We have a rental of $2,500, versus if you own the property, your total payment is $2,735. But if you back out your tax benefits at a 25% tax bracket and the principal paid, your actual net payment is $1,734. And here's some rental assumptions that you're going to get a 1% increase on a yearly basis. This is not much. I think you sometimes even get more than that, but let's just go 1%. And here's some of the other assumptions there. On the ownership side, appreciation 2%. This is your tax bracket. That's your purchase price, $499. Your rate, 5.5. Down payment and your closing costs, etc. Okay. So we have the total payments as far as 120 months, which is 10 years. Total payments in rent is over $300,000, $313 and $866. And the total payments in as far as when being an owner is $328, but you back out principal 64 and tax benefit of 67, your net is 196. Now, as far as real estate value, of course, you get zero, being that you're renting. But here, your property may have already appreciated to 608. Here's your loan balance, and that's your total equity. After 10 years, you have an equity of $301,000. After 10 years of ownership. When we're talking about appreciation, I think it's important to note that although in the short term it may not go as much, in the long term it will. Because historically, there's always been about a 5 to 10% appreciation as far as in different areas. So as a 2% is really conservative. After 20 years, here's your total payment, $660,000 in rent. Ownership is $656, but you back out your principal of $177 and your tax benefits of $118. Your net is $361, and your value asset is $741 at this point. Your loan balance $194. You have a total equity of $547. So what we're going to show you here is this. Let's assume that you're, at the same time when you've been renting, you also put $200 aside on a monthly basis, getting a 2% return, and that's all you're doing. You're not putting anything else as far as the owner, but you're only doing rent. You set up a savings account, getting 2%, or some type of money account, getting 2% return after $200. After 20 years, hey, you've been saving for that down payment, right? Because you want to save down payment, that's all you could afford. You had a total of $58,000 after 20 years. Impressive, but when you compare it to home ownership, you have yourself by 20 years your home's equity is $489,000, and you didn't put any money aside. Your asset account is zero, but your total net worth is $49. Well, let's say you ended up with a half the appreciation. You didn't get $49. You ended up with $250. That's still a lot better than 58. So look, what I'm trying to show you here is this. When you look at it, being an owner, it makes sense. The numbers don't lie. Guys, this is Paul Anthony Kelly from themortgagespin.com, and thanks very much for your attention, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.